Hello everyone, one more here in program Connectors for Audion Media. This evening, the great Ville Darude. How are you, man?
I'm great. Good to be here, and thanks for having me.
No, thank you for come to this space because this program, I think, is I make a very nice step, very big step because, for example, I interviewed to Derek May. For me, he's a big hero in electronic music. Well, how are you? Where are you now?
I am in Finland in my studio, just chilling and knocking down some interviews.
Yeah. Well, for sure. I really wanna when you started. Do you remember when you started in the electronic music in Finland? Can you say about your beginnings when you started in the music? Why you choose electronic music?
Well, first of all, electricity is the reason why I am a musician. Unfortunately, I never studied like piano or guitar or anything else properly. Like our family had a little Casio keyboard that I would play Happy Birthday or something like that, one or two fingered, but nothing really more than that. When I was a kid, I played ice hockey in a team, and that took a lot of my time. And I was a music lover. I was very heavily into music, and I was more so, I think, deeper than my friends were, but I kind of didn't know it, or I didn't recognize it. Like to a point where when I was like 12 and 13, 14, my friends would go out on Fridays or Saturdays, but I would stay home because I would be listening to radio with my favorite chart show going on, and I would try and record stuff on tape.
Yeah,
and
I make the same.
Yeah, and that's like my musical education. That's my musical background, really. And so then I think I was quite a late bloomer making music, because I was around 19 or 20 when I actually started making music. And I went to study at around 95, 96 or so.
Yeah.
And I went to study at a new school where my new school friends showed me a tracker program and showed me like you could program hi-hats and kicks and bass and whatnot. And all of a sudden I realized that the music that I'd heard up until that point had been just one big thing. Like this is a piece of music.
Yeah.
And I would know how to like sing or hum the vocals, or I would know like a guitar or synth melody, but it was this one thing. And now all of a sudden, like literally within that moment and then the next couple of days, I started hearing everything, single hi-hat, single kick, single bass, single this and that.
In the multi-tracks, yeah.
And music was ruined for me for the next couple of years, because I could not listen to a single piece of music and enjoy it, but I would just analyze it. I would be counting beats, I would be thinking frequencies, I would be thinking layers. Yeah. And I was the most boring person to go clubbing with, because I'd go there, in the beginning of the night, I'd buy like one drink and I would stand in the middle of the dance floor with the drink like this, and just like listen. Buddies would nudge me and like, come on man, let's party. And I'm just like, yeah. Hold on, the hi-hat goes like this. And I'd basically run home. And turn on my computer and start trying to sort of recreate what I heard.
Yeah.
And
which kind of
very
music?
Intense.
It's very intense. Which kind of music music in the club? Do you remember?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yes. So broadly, what I would really like was some sort of like European, German, Dutch trance.
Yeah.
I like uplifting trance, very synthy, often instrumental. But then there was also, one of my big favorites was Sash Encore Fois, for instance.
He's from Germany.
Sasha's from Germany, yeah. And then, of course, there was Faithless, Insomnia, and a little later, God
from
is
England.
a DJ. Yes. And but then, yeah, I mean, I have a huge background in like the Eurodance. There was DJ Bobo, and there was all kinds of Alexa, Ice MC.
DJ Bobo in Chile is like a god, you know, in that year.
Yeah.
It's like Tiesto in that year.
Yeah, and then I don't know if you know this, but I loved Modern Talking. I loved Bad Boys Blue. I loved Pet Shop Boys, Depeche Mode, sort of this synth pop bands that were big at that time as well. But I also loved like 80s hair metal.
Information Society.
Bon Jovi, Twisted Sister, all kinds of Metallica, and then I skateboarded, so I loved punk. But I wasn't looking into punk that much, but when I heard it, it gave me a lot of energy. So the commercial stuff like Bad Religion and Offspring and that kind of stuff was... But the club stuff in Finland was not so much Eurodance at the moment anymore, but around 98, 2000, it was like UK hard house and trance. That was the stuff.
That's very interesting, because I don't know what happened in Finland that year. You know, I know what happened in Amsterdam, England, Deutschland, well, Chile, but Finland, you know, it's very interesting.
I think we had a mix of had a mix of Eurodance, but then also some DJs would follow UK charts quite well. So we would have, and around that time, UK charts were quite good and sort of, if you will, credible with the music. Like whatever got to UK charts was like good dance music. And so, and by 2000 or so, by 98, we, you know, well, Finland's never been a closed country, but we are up north, and at that time, you really didn't have, like, internet was just starting, and if you wanted to have a lot of international music, you actually had to, like, fly to Stockholm, fly to Berlin, or maybe London to do shopping, go clubbing, and then go vinyl shopping, and some of the DJs that I followed definitely did that, and that was... We had new music in Finland, but I think it would take months sometimes to reach, you know, our clubs. So we were a little late maybe. And then that mixed with our own dance music within Finland, which was a good scene as well, very Eurodance based, but in Finnish. And then we would have stuff like... you know, Macarenas or the Ketchup song.
That Ibiza sound.
Yeah, but we would have that coming from like Spain, and then we would have Scooter from Germany, of course.
Yeah.
Marusha, members of Mayday. They would not be maybe mainstream, but they would. Some of their tracks would be played in the clubs definitely.
Yeah. That's very interesting, because you take all that information, you know, influence when you're starting the production. I know, maybe, you know, because you're going to the studio and you take everything, you know.
Yes,
that's very
exactly.
When you form your way, you know, because every people, you know, like a lot of style. I love drum and bass, I love trance, but I produce tech house, for example. Do you understand? When you started in the production, you say, I want to make this style, this type of style, or you prove it, everything?
Well, the thing is, like, personally, I know that I'm mostly considered a trance DJ or trance producer.
Yeah.
But I never thought, like, hey, I am a trance producer, I'm going to produce trance now. But almost every time still to this day, when I come to the studio, I start making music, just music. And yes, it's dance music. And yes, often it becomes melodic, trancey or something, but I don't necessarily think that I need to produce trance. And And so even in the beginning, like my first ever track was like 180 BPM, horrible GABA, like hardcore something, like noise, just like distorted kick drums. And then slowly I went more towards like Robert Miles' Children, like Dream Dance, became trance.
It's very melodic. It's yeah.
So and obviously like Sandstorm, my first official release, a lot of people think that's trance, and I think it is trance, but it's lending a lot of stuff from UK hard house. It's not like the same, German and Dutch trance at the time definitely didn't sound the same. So I think that's one of the key things why Sandstorm became popular, is that it went really well with trance, but it wasn't exactly the same sounding piece of music.
But your first track is Rude Boy, maybe, or do you remember?
My first official track release was Sandstorm, but I made music 3-4 years before that. And when I started, I used the name Rude Boy as my artist name.
That's right.
And then it was because at this one party at my friend's house, pre-party before going out, I got a little tipsy, and I wasn't a DJ. There was just one. There was just one turntable, and I played this track called "Rude Boys" by Swedish singer Leila K. Like many times in a row, and my buddies started teasing me, calling me Rude Boy. But that gave me a nickname for my basically, internet chats, and then also for my artist career. But then I didn't want to be a boy, so I dropped the boy. So it became The Rude, then Da Rude. And then when my first track, the cover art for Sandstorm single was made, the guy who did the graphics, he put the Rude together, and now it looked good as one single word. And I was like, okay, so that's it. And it's been Darude together since then.
Yeah, no, I love when I talk about little history for when you produce you make Sandstorm, because it's very interesting, all the influence in Sandstorm, and I love the rhythm. Tuk 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 tuk. Because it's very interesting why you put that. It's very Latin.
So when I first made Sandstorm, the do-do-do riff thing, or the melody, it was like a year and a half or so before I actually made the track. And I wasn't inspired to do more than, and it was kind of like a side project or side product of this thing, because I was studying another track, and I was trying to create a track of mine that did the same thing, like had a piano where that track had a piano, I had a bass where that track had a bass, and then it had this middle part that had this rhythmic middle part, monotonous, kind of like Sandstorm do-do-do, but not the same melody, not the same rhythm, but similar sound. But I finished that track, and I didn't use the Sandstorm do-do-do in it, but I used just that sound in it because I tried to analyze how the track worked. Anyway, a year and a half something later, I found that project again. I bounced it as an audio. It was in a tracker program called Fast Tracker 2. And I bounced it out. It happened to be 136 BPM.
Wow.
And then I put it in Cubase, which at that point was the Cubase VST.
Wow.
VST.
What? The first Cubase?
No, Cubase VST, which was the first one on a PC that had plugins.
Oh yeah.
And it had a plugin called Quadrafuzz, which was a multi-band distortion unit. And then I put the sound that I had through the distortion unit, and it became the do-do-do sound that now you know in Sandstorm.
Wow.
And when I heard that inspired me to create the chords around it, the whole track. But my official, or the original demo, didn't, for instance, have the rim shot. But it had the same do-do-do, it had the same chords.
I love the rhythm.
It had the similar drums, but it wasn't working exactly the same way. But then I demoed that to my then later guy who became my producer in the early days, JS16, and then we recreated the track in his studio with
Jaco, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Jaco. Yeah.
Jaco.
And in that session, the rim shot became a thing because it was just like you listen to it. It's in the end of a round, of like 8 or 16 bars, and then it also is in the breakdown, and it's just such a like small sound, but it's such a big roll with a little bit of reverb and whatnot, and it became a thing that then we used in a couple of other tracks as well later, and I think the reason why we used it was because how dance music works in those 8 or 16 bar cycles, you need something to throw it in the next round. Mm-hmm. And then because Sandstorm didn't have vocals, we wanted a couple elements in addition to the do-do-do that would, be catching your ear. So that rim shot was one, and then of course the big bangs that are in a breakdown, the big booms, the explosions, those are the other thing, and it was quite cool and quite interesting for me as well to reproduce the track with a who I looked up to, Jaco, and he was a professional, and I really wasn't at that point yet. I was kind of like a hobbyist, and I just started. Mm-hmm. So working on it with him definitely made it the better sound quality and more professional. And then it actually got, intros and outros like a DJ extended mix should have and whatnot.
It can be said that you invite the hard trance with that song.
Maybe sorry, say again?
Maybe with that song on Sandstorm, you invited the hard trance style. What do you think about that?
That I invented it? No, but it definitely was. It definitely was not the fluffy layered trance that the Dutch guys, for instance, and German guys were making at that point. So I really think that it was a combination of both myself and Jaco, although Jaco wasn't a trance guy, but I was liking trance, but I was really liking UK hard house as well. Yeah. And I think the 909 drums, how we use them, and then the bass, that's more like a donk bass, more like a UK hard house thing than trance. And then we had the big synth patch in the breakdown and throughout the track, but then we didn't have like multiple layers of that kind of thing. So again, while I'm not pissed off if somebody calls my music trance, but I think the elements are way different from the style of trance that we had at that point. So I think that's one of the key things why it is different from other pieces of music around that era.
And what do you think about your song? It's still fresh, because I saw it a lot of TikTok viral, with Sandstorm, and I think it's like 25 years, it's still fresh. What do you think about that? Because I don't know, it's very impressive.
I'm of course happy about it in general. Like it's crazy. Like I didn't set out to create an evergreen classic record, and that it's become. And I made it initially, and then of course with JS16's help, it became what it is now. But I didn't make it to be a hit. I can't claim the hit of it, if you know what I'm like. It became a phenomenon. It became a thing of its own. And the fact that people are still creating bootlegs of it and DJs are playing it in their sets, that's just that's a huge benefit, of course, for my current career. And I like to think that, I understand very much so that it is it's a big thing for my career. It started my career, and it's carried.
It's like boom.
It's carried me along these years, but at the same time, I just released my 5th album, and I also strongly think that had I not been creating new music, I couldn't have been touring just with Sandstorm all these years. So I think there's a, you know, where my talent is that I recognized the time and place where it started becoming big. And even though I wasn't like a professional musician, I jumped into it and I tried to learn as much as I could. And I've, so to say, busted my ass since to maintain and to run this career like further. And I've always thought of Sandstorm like, if that is the only thing you know of me, that's great, because you know, then you're likely to come to my show and pay for that ticket
for one song.
Yes, but then I can show you what I do right now, and I think that anybody who comes to my show now, and if they like Sandstorm, they will actually like my show today as well, because it's not like it's that different. I'm still after a similar type of energy. I'm still after a similar type of sort of fun and celebration of music and sort of this togetherness that you feel when you're at a club or a festival.
Yeah, that's the way I want to talk about your new album, Together. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, why you make that? Because I think you make that with all the influence in the past, because I don't know, I listen Closer or Kaleidoscope, you have many things of the 90s as well.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing, like I'm a creature of habit, man. Like when I make music, I still make music very similarly that I used to do it. So I play my keys to a certain way. I'm not highly trained in music, although I know a lot more today than I did 25 years ago. But so that lends itself for me to, you know, find similar chord progressions or similar vibes, and I tend to use certain sounds in the beginning of the project for me to find my melodies and chords, and that affects, I think, how the track turns out. And then after I've created sort of the music, the hooks and whatever I need it in it, then I can start tuning it to a certain kind of style or sound. And I try to not make music that sounds like 90s, but I also try to make music that doesn't sound like 2023.
Things. It's not the totally, you know.
Exactly, like, but that's the thing. Like I'm not disillusioned. Like I understand it's hard, but I try to be timeless rather than tied into a time. Mm-hmm. So, and that comes from like I study what's out there now, and I DJ all the time. So I hear promos and I play music that I love, and then I pick influences from here and there. But I don't always play the newest music. Like some of my tracks in my sets are new. Some of them are for 2 years ago, some 5 years ago, some 20 years ago. And so I draw my influences from a wide palette of sounds. And I think that makes it so that I also probably don't try to sound like what's trendy right now.
Yeah, because I think generation have a little, how do you say, gaps with the fashion of the music, you know, because I don't know. Now, bro, in Tomorrowland tends to play a lot of trance music from the 90s, as well Armin van Buuren, you know, 224, man. Do you understand? It's like, you know, it's like for the generation, you know. When I am more young, I listen a lot of music of the 80s, man. I know more music the 80s of my father. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You know, it's like for example, it's the same example of Peggy Goo. You know, Peggy Goo take the, you know, remember, I don't know if you listen the song of Peggy Goo. Well, she take, you know, a little sample of one song of the 90s, Children. Yeah. Well, it's, you know, inspiration, and it's the same you talk about, because it's still fresh, 19, you know.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the 90s stuff that was big was based around songs and melodies, and then we've had this we've had this, technology is now available to everybody. So you can actually create great sounding productions.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it has a great melody or a great hook. And a lot of the, like tech house, for instance, I'm not saying it's easy to make at all, but a lot of tech house, for instance, can really work well at a club or event, but you might not remember what it is unless it has like a borrowed vocal hook from somewhere. Like, so now the sort of circle closing and kind of looping back to a lot of remakes and samplings from early 90s, mid 90s tracks.
Yeah.
It works because one, they were hits back then, but two, there's a whole new audience that are hearing them now the first time, but they work because they were good melodies.
Yeah.
They were hooky melodies. And that kind of maybe dance music producers went too much to the sound and not melodies in one point. Do you like in the last few years, for instance? I don't know, but I've been thinking about it. And I've been talking about it with many people, and because the thing with like, if you now sample 90s song, you have to understand that it could be a 15-year-old who's never heard the song before, but they still like it. So that means that the song itself was great already then. It's not just because for you and me, we would remember the original and like it because of that.
Yeah.
But there's a whole new generation who's never heard those songs before.
Yeah, that's the way. This is why I don't like to speak badly about the music of this era, because in the future it can be heard more. Because
yeah, exactly.
Very people is like, no, the music of this era is a shit, it's a speed. Okay, I wanna talk with you 10 more years, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, bro. It's like, I don't know, people hate reggaeton. Okay, but in 15 years more, I want to talk with you.
Yeah. But I think one of the things is that what's cool about this era is that while there are like techno purists, there are trance purists, there are purists in every field, but the mainstream doesn't give a shit. The mainstream, when they hear a good song, they like it. And there are a lot of producers who don't have these limitations at all. They can take reggaeton and trance, or they can take punk and gospel, or they can take whatever and just do this. And it's something strange, but it's good, and then it works because people don't care.
A really Frankenstein, man.
Yeah.
No, it's very weird. It's very weird, now, because I talk about with Derek May and Luciano, it's the same. It's like, bro, do you have hard trance, techno, house music from Chicago? Now in this era, it's no. You have no idea, man. It's like music, Just you need to go to Pittsburgh and that's it. But it's very interesting your history, man, because I think you're influenced for a lot of producers, man. I know a lot of producers, for example, the Future House. I think Future House is a very powered sound. I love Future House, but I don't know, Nora and Pure, for example, whatever. A lot of producers for that style you are it's a big inspiration for the Future House people, man. What happened in your future for the next year? You have gigs, you have a tour, you have a...
Yeah, I'm basically now on my album tour, the Together tour, and I did half of the finished leg now, and I have still this coming weekend and then the next couple of weekends in Finland that I'm touring, and then I'm going to take some time off over the Christmas time, and then January, February, March, I think I have gigs in the US, possibly an Australian tour coming. I have a if I remember correctly, Polish date upcoming. There's Norwegian and Swedish dates, UK. Just kind of working this Together album right now, and but I'm also I've got a couple of cool collaborations coming up that I'm quite excited about. Working on some new stuff as well. And
can you talk about one collaboration?
Well, I can talk about two. that I can mention right now because we already started them, and I don't know release dates and I don't know exactly the final results either yet. But one is with I'm working on a track with a guy called Gory Goldsmith.
Wow, nice.
Who is like a techno producer, melodic techno.
Yeah.
And he is. I became friends with him, and he remixed my track "Nobody Listens" just a while ago, and I actually got to hang out with him a good while. He happened to be in Europe when I had Estonian gigs, and I went. He came there, and we hung out, and then also hit it off so well that now we're going to do a collaboration together. Maybe more than one, but yeah, he's a really nice guy and really skilled techno, melodic techno producer. And then there's another one. It's Corey's American. And there's another guy, or actually a group called Mashed and Kutcher, who are Australian. And they do all kinds of stuff like in the dance music realm, and they have amazing live performances. Like they play guitar, they do sample pad stuff, and they DJ. It's kind of a hybrid thing. And I'm working on this, maybe like best to say is like retro-ish UK hard house kind of track with them right now that I started half a year ago. So I made some drum beats and some like cool like 90s piano thing, and one of the guys, Matt, took it and flipped it totally, and now it's kind of a cool starting point for our track, and I'm waiting for him to return the file so that I can do my thing on it. But we'll see when that's ready and done. But I'm very excited about both of those.
Yeah. Well, no. Thank you, Darude, for come here, because I tell you, you're an inspiration for a lot of people, man. For sure. 100%.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah, you're so kind to come to here, and well, your social media is Darude, you know, for all the people of South America. Yeah. Just, maybe send new music. Send there. You have a lot of links there for sure. And
yeah, and I can promo a little bit more. I started a label called Vibing Out, on which my own album is coming out as well. And we're looking for artists, basically. They can be established already, but we're looking for especially new artists with kind of like house, tech house, progressive house, trance in various forms. And something that I would play in my sets, basically. That's one of the sort of, you know, what I'm looking for, one of the criterias. And if you want to catch me live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. my time in Finland, so that would be early morning in South America time. You would actually have to check how early it is, but West Coast North America is 10 p.m. 10 a.m. So you'd be around that time then. I don't remember exactly how you're there or what the time zones are, but something similar. And I play music right here in my studio. I read the chat, I talk with people. And actually yesterday I had a couple of people I know from Argentina, from Brasilia. I don't know if Chile was there.
Yeah.
I often have people from America and UK, in Europe. And then now that I changed 2 hours later, like the Asia and Australia, they're so late that only some crazies are there that late of the hour. But yeah, so I really love those streams, and I'm interactive with the people. So if you have any questions, or if you want to say if this interview sucked or rocked, come tell me next Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, man, thank you so much. Good to see you. Well, maybe
likewise.
You need to come to South America, man. Brazil or Chile. You come.
I hope so, man. I really hope so.
Thank you so much. Really. Okay.
Thank you, my man.
Bye. Thank you.